Chapter 7, Part 2 of the Song Maple. Well, what are you lagging around for? Jump to and grind this lathe. Joy overflowing him, the boy grasped the chunk of 6-foot wheel, braced his feet, and turned. All summer he worked beside Devil Tom, putting his back, legs, and shoulders into the toil. He slept in the hay and ate in the house, where there was no ornament to the log walls save dulcimers. Dulcimers 2 feet long, 3 feet and 4. Dulcimers 3-stringed, 4-stringed, and 6. The flat pinch waist mountain versions of the lap harp had backs of maple and bellies of pine, with fretted truss of walnut running full length atop each belly and ending in a fiddle curl for the holly pegs. In his lifetime, by rough reckoning, Tom had made 900 dulcimers. His signature was the maple leaf shape to the sound holes. 15 hours a day Lee worked with the rougher woods. The rest of his time, save for eating and sleeping, he spent waxing and tuning the virgin instruments. Travis, unspeaking, kept out of his way, for which he was thankful. Or she clapped his meals down before him, her head high, her lips scornful. His sharp shame for a memory never mentioned, and her spanked and insulted pride, lay like a pair of swords between them. Devil Tom took Lee deep into the woods. He halted under a superb rock maple. Tom handed him a saw and commanded, "Climb." When Lee reached a thick limb at a giddy height, Tom called up to him, "Undercut close to the trunk, shear carefully." When the limb had crashed and he was down again, "Take axe and lop." The limb trimmed to a mighty beam. "Saw here and here." The logs dragged to the saw pit. "Whoop them into another year's boards." Stocks of 7 years' songs were already curing against the future needs. Seeing those planks from the glorious tree, the boy grasped that he was beholding one of Devil Tom's precious secrets. Devil Tom confirmed it by stating, "I call that tree the Song Maple. My eyes and Travis's and yours are the only ones ever to see it." Lee's whip-sawing finished, Tom led him back to the house. 42 dulcimers hung on the walls. All would soon go to the fair at Marionborough and out to the mountain world. Travis sat at her loom, her yellow hair shielding her turned cheek. Ordered Devil Tom to Lee, "Take from this room whatsoever you have yearned for. Take it home for your own to Cat Track Holler. Claim and cherish forever." The shuttle halted in the girl's hand, then resumed its rhythmic march and countermarch. The boy had worked all summer for this moment. He tried to move to the wall slowly, as if choosing called for study, but his feet took him as fast and straight to a 4-foot dulcimer with 6 strings that he had long since marked for his own. His hand trembled as he touched it. "I'd be purely proud to have this, if it's not bespoke for. There's nothing else in the room that you have it in your head to covet. Think now, look wide. I can't use more than 1 grand dulcimer. It's all I ask. Take it then and clear out fast for your lunkhead moon calf." "Travis, get to your lookout," said Devil Tom. "I've work in the laurel." His back spoke no farewell. He didn't even glance Lee's way. The boy wondered if he had offended by taking the fairest dulcimer. He followed Devil Tom a few steps. "Uncle Tom, I'll put it back. The least of them all will be 100 times better than my old gourd." Tom called harshly over his shoulder, "I told you to take what you wanted in that room. You chose." Puzzled, the boy stood in his tracks. He pondered. Tom was old, might never make another instrument with the magic of this. He concluded to stay by his choice. Travis, obedient to her grandfather, slipped out the door, back straight, step quick. She was on the other side of the creek fork when he got there. She posted herself close to the spot where he'd gambled like a shorn and silly lamb on the day of his coming, and he faltered in confusion. But he recollected his victorious disarming of her, the heavy-handed spanking, and he called to the gun girl defiantly, "I suppose you mean to tell me not to cross again, though this time I'm headed the other way." She didn't answer. Her eyes were on a red squirrel, high in a chestnut. He sprang for the mid-stones. One unexpectedly turned under. He beat his arms wildly, fought for balance, and crashed. She watched the red squirrel teeter on its bough. Clumsy flounderings did not interest her. He regained footing. He stood knee-deep in the swirl, pouring the water from his dulcimer. He was angry enough to kill. "You set that rock a purpose." She smiled faintly at the whiskings of the squirrel. Her profile was clean drawn against the crimson sumac. Her brow was smooth, lashes curved, nose carven. He yelped, "You might at least lend me something to dry my dulcimer." She got up, brushed away the wrinkles at the back of her skirt, and moved off into the woods. A supple, agile figure, she disappeared. He waded to that bank, sank down, and frantically examined the instrument. There was no dent. He dried it with leaves and grasses and tried its voice. No ruin seemed to have been wrought, but his mood was black at her for this piece of malice. It was apple picking and fodder pulling time in Cat Track Holler. Rage at Travis for her spite work did not go out of him. It fed on itself as fire eats through undergrowth. After the harvest home, his time was his own, and he spent hours in the woods with his dulcimer. He tried it with ballads, a half 100, Old Blue Eagle and Marching with Washington, and Shining Star with Many a Point, and Maid Freed from the Gallows, but the dulcimer failed. Its voice, or so it seemed, was furry, its response as logy as a twice-boiled dumpling. He oiled it, rubbed it, and tried new strings. He plucked a fresh quill from a gander to strum it with. He stroked it with a chip of breastbone from a mockingbird. The dulcimer did not sing. Had the sprawl in its brook started its seams? He could find no flaw, but the instrument was listless. He took it to Link Yawkey at the mill in Cat Track Hollow. Link, though a maker of fiddlers by choice, was no mean dulcimer sweeper himself. He laid the thing on his bony knees and brushed it with a great square thumbnail. "It's a fairish bit of toolin'," he pronounced, turning it over in his rough hands. "But Uncle Link, even for you its voice is heavy, and it doesn't sing. Eff'n I had it in a contest it would sing. I ain't worked it up proper. But it should do as well for me as my old gourd. Uncle Link, even with a gourd I used to hush the peckerwoods and the jays. This dulcimer's all right, even if it was Devil Tom Swisher who made it, and a man don't live I hate to praise worse. Reckon the trouble is in you." Lee returned to his mother's house, hung the instrument on a nail, and flung himself into the chores. He was working up firewood when he heard a crackle on the rabbit paths and caught, at the woodland's edge, a flick of a blue dress. While he stared with the axe upraised, Travis Switcher stepped forth. She said tersely, "You're to come." He owed Devil Tom nothing further. He cranked lathe and sawed timber and shaved a right smart of planks for his board and dulcimer. "Now," she informed him curtly, "you're to bring what you took away." Had Devil Tom turned Indian giver? Lee was astounded, but her voice and manner hadn't allowed refusal. He pitched his axe to the woodpile and went into the house for what Devil Tom demanded. When he came out, Travis had moved 100 paces on. Her gait was swift. He had to stretch his legs to catch up. "What are you running for?" "He's hurt. His still exploded." "Scald him?" She nodded. "When?" "The day he came back from the fair." Her voice had a choke in it. "Dr. Bean?" "Yes." "What does Uncle Tom want me for, if he has doctor stuff?" "You'll see."